Hey everybody, it's James here with the Sawyer Family Reviews channel. Today is Wednesday, April 24th, 2019. This is your weekly comic book pickups video. Every week, I pick up my boys at least one comic each. Oftentimes it's more than one. I pick up my daughter Gracie one as well, even though she can't read yet. And as always, I pick up my comics at Queen City Comics in Fairfield, Ohio, zip code 45014. If you're in that area and into comics, go check out the shop. Let's jump in. True Believers. These are $1 reprints of classic Marvel tales that are tied into something that's currently going on, either in comics or movies or something. Well, at least usually they're currently tied in. Right now, it's tied into the Avengers, but starting this week, it was actually Avengers and Star Wars. So there were, I think, 3 or 4 Star Wars True Believers, which I passed on because the boys aren't really that into Star Wars currently, and a lot of them were reprints of stuff that we already had from when Marvel got the Star Wars license back. So we skipped all those. But there were still 2 Avengers ones left from being tied into Avengers Endgame coming out. So I did grab those. The first one is Avengers True Believers #1 Rocket Raccoon, which is a reprint of Rocket Raccoon #1. This is before Rocket was a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, in the early years of his existence as a character. Black Jack O'Hare and his Black Bunny Brigade. So this is by Bill Mantlo and Keith Giffen. And it's a tale of Rocket. I think this is the first of a 4-issue miniseries for Rocket Raccoon back then, if I remember right. So yeah, this is just kind of the beginnings of the Rocket character before he becomes a member of Guardians of the Galaxy later on. So that's kind of fun. Again, they're tying these into different things that are in Endgame, and obviously Rocket is in Endgame, so that's the Rocket tie-in. This one, however, is Avengers Forever, and this is the first issue of the Avengers Forever miniseries, and this really doesn't tie in any characters or anything. It's more just a really great Avengers story. This is probably one of my favorite Avengers stories. It's Immortus and Kang and time travel. It's by Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco doing the pencils. And actually flipping through this earlier, I was like, man, this was such a... Look, there's a lot of words on those pages. And Carlos Pacheco's killing it on the pencils on this. This was a fun series. I haven't read this in a long time, and I'm thinking that I'm going to buy the trade. After flipping through this, I'm going to go back and pick up the trade for this. Because I think maybe the boys might want to read this too. I don't know. But this was a really good series. Avengers Forever is really, really good. So I'm glad they're reprinting that, and again, $1. Can't really beat it. This one is for Gracie. She's been on a big-time Spider-Man kick lately. We've been watching the Tobey Maguire movies. We've been watching the 90s animated series. We've been watching Spectacular Spider-Man. She's been on full-on Spider-Man mode lately. So I just went in the old Marvel Adventures comics back issues and grabbed her one of these Spider-Mans. These books were fun and cheap back then. Look, they were $1.50. More expensive than a True Believers nowadays, which is kind of crazy. But Ralph Macchio, Ben Herrera doing arts. These were just kind of fun, almost like animated type style of comics that featured a bunch of Marvel characters, and they were geared more towards kids. They were a cheaper price point. This one has obviously Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four in it. Yeah, so if you've got kids and you're ever at the comic shop and you want to find them a cheap book starring some of their favorite characters, go look in the back issues for some of these Marvel Adventures, because these are great. These are absolutely great comics for kids. They're so cheap, and even as a back issue, this was $1.60. So, yeah. Let's get that over there. Hey, come on. Stop falling. All right. Next up is this ash can, and my comic shop was nice enough to give me 3 of them. One for me, one for Keaton, one for Blaze. And this is the little preview thing for Transformers Ghostbusters. And this is the second preview thing that's come out. Last week there was a poster for it. This week there's this little ash can. And these ash cans for comics are little small versions of like a preview of a comic. They're tiny, as you can see, in comparison to the size of an actual book. And they're usually the first few pages of a comic. It's pretty much something that a retailer can have sitting around that they can preview a book and let you know how it's going to be. So it's cool to see this much promotion behind this crossover. I think this is going to be a pretty big book. I'm very much looking forward to it. We've pre-ordered Ectotron, the toy, so that's exciting. And then another Ghostbusters thing today for both me and Keaton, and this one is something Keaton's really been looking forward to, the 35th anniversary one-shot special for Extreme Ghostbusters. So there's been one book each month for April. There was the regular universe Ghostbusters, which is like the movie universe. Then there was Real Ghostbusters. Then there was the Answer the Call Ghostbusters, which we're not really a fan of, so we skipped that one. And then there was Extreme Ghostbusters this week, and we love Extreme Ghostbusters. I think that Keaton might actually love this show more than I do. He's watched through the whole series multiple times on Hulu. Just starts from the beginning and goes all the way through the end and then watches it all over again and does it all over again. So he really likes Extreme Ghostbusters. So this was exciting for him to know that they were going to do a full comic for Extreme. This is written by Jim Beard and Keith Dallas with art by Tim Latty, I don't really know how to say it, who does a really good job capturing the Extreme Ghostbusters style. We're big fans of Danny Schoening and Eric Burnham on the regular Ghostbusters book, but this guy did a really good job of capturing the Extreme Ghostbusters style. If you've never watched Extreme Ghostbusters, you're kind of missing out because it really was a great cartoon. I don't want to flip through too far on this and ruin anything, but yeah, this is exciting. Extreme Ghostbusters getting their own one-shot. Let's put that over there. Another book for Keaton today, Venom number 13 by Bun, Coella, and Mosa. This is $3.99. The Extreme Ghostbusters one-shot was $3.99 as well. And this one, warning, this issue takes place after War of the Realms number 1. If you haven't read it, proceed at your own risk. We're not going to read War of the Realms number 1. So, I guess this is Malekith opens the portal to New York where Eddie Brock and his son Dylan have just arrived. Frost Giants and Dark Elves roam the streets, and Eddie, no longer bonded with his alien symbiote Venom, must keep his head down, protect Dylan until this all blows over. So this is going to be kind of confusing for him because he's only been reading Venom. He didn't read this War of the Realms thing, but it sounds like he doesn't even have the symbiote, so he's not even really Venom right now. I don't know. He'll have to catch me up to speed on this. There's a Venom right there, though. Hope I didn't spoil anything there for you. But, yeah. He still likes Venom. It's kind of, from reading those little synopsises, it's getting kind of further and further away from the Venom that I was enjoying when the book started. So I don't know. I picked this one up for Blaze because he didn't have any regular books today. Dick Tracy Forever by Michael Van Oming and Soma. I read the first Dick Tracy series from IDW, and I was not really a fan because they tried to blend different time periods together. So there'd be like somebody using a cell phone, but then talking as if it was like the 20s. It was kind of an odd book. But this one is by Michael Van Oming, and he's a great writer, and I really like his art too. So I was thinking about grabbing this to read for myself because I really like Dick Tracy, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it for Blaze, and then I'll just borrow his because I think he would actually enjoy getting to check this book out. This looks more like it's more straight up a Dick Tracy comic and not trying to be something that brings together different time periods and all that stuff. I think this will be an enjoyable book for Blaze, and hopefully I will enjoy it as well. And then another one for Blaze, I just went ahead and grabbed him Thanos number 1 that came in today. And this is $4.99. The Dick Tracy was $3.99. This is by Teeny Howard. Teeny. And Ariel Olivetti doing the art. This is a story of Thanos and Gamora when Gamora was young, like, let's see. Talking about his relationship with death, and then for years, Thanos' infatuation with death compelled him across the cosmos, bringing ruin and destruction in his wake. That is until he is executed by the deadliest assassin in the galaxy, his adopted daughter, Gamora. But before their relationship came to a bloody end, how did it begin? So this is the beginnings of the Thanos-Gamora relationship. This will be fun. We're getting stoked about Endgame tomorrow night, so this will be a fun book for him to read, I think. I don't know if he'll want to stick with it or not, but it was a nice, just grab a random book and it's tying into something he's currently interested in. So, we'll see. I might read that one too. And lastly is a book for me. Well, almost lastly is a book for me. Marvel Comics Presents issue number 4, which is $4.99. Marvel Comics Presents brings together 3 different stories into one book, focusing on different characters, just like the old Marvel Comics Presents series. Right now, it's Wolverine, Moon Knight, and Spider-Man for this issue. The Wolverine story has continued since the very beginning, and these 2 are all new features, not continuing on from something else. The Wolverine story is about this demon thing that comes through every 10 years, and he has to fight it, and this witch girl that's like kind of attached to the whole thing. Charles Sayol does the writing, and I can't remember who's doing this art. Paulo Siqueira. He's really good because the pencils on this are great. And I've enjoyed this story so far. I like the kind of jumping through Wolverine's life and watching the girl kind of get older while he's still the same and how they interact and all that stuff. In the next book, I'm really excited about the second story. It's a Spider-Man story that takes place in 1977 when Star Wars comes out. And it's written by Daniel Kibblesmith and art is by Perry Perez. So we got like classic old school 70s Peter Parker Spider-Man and trying to go see Star Wars the day it comes out. So that kind of reminds me of something that actually would have happened back in the 70s with the Spider-Man comic. And lastly is Moon Knight, written by Benjamin Percy with art by Juan Ferreira. This one I'm a little confused by because I'm not really that familiar with Moon Knight in a suit like this. I read early Moon Knight, but I don't really know a lot about this. So, I don't know. This one will be an experience for me, I guess. And that is the last of the comics. And then I also got today Marvel's The Road to the Avengers Endgame Art of book came in for me. I have all of the Art of Marvel Cinematic Universe books so far. This one, just like the Road to Avengers Infinity War, is just kind of art of characters that are going to be in the book leading up to it. It shouldn't have any spoilers in it, but I'm not going to open it yet just in case. We're seeing the movie tomorrow night, so I can hold off one night before I open this guy up. And these retail for $50 usually, and you can get them pretty cheap if you pre-order on Amazon or pre-order through your comic shop. They sometimes can give you a discount, which my comic shop did. So that's it. So that's all the comics for this week. As always, any recommendations, any books you want us to check out, leave them in the comment section below. If you like the videos, like and subscribe. Click notify. Yeah. All right. See you guys next week.